Yo, back once again with another episode. This is episode number 59. This is also going to be a post recap debate special. But before we get into the podcast, be sure to follow us on all of our social media. That includes Twitter and Instagram at WRGO Pod. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and also be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. We're big time now. Nike just tweeted at us yesterday, so shout out to us. We are big popping, as always, joined by Mackenzie.
Local celebrities at this point.
Look.
Listen.
Before we get into it, Henry, do you want to tease out what we got coming along with the shirts?
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? Got merch coming soon. You know what I'm saying? The link gonna be October 5th. That's next Monday. So make sure you tune in, check in, tap in, all of that. The merch is good. You know, it's Travis influence.
I like how you be cracking. I feel like at yourself sometimes, but that's okay. Henry got a suit on, so you know this is about to be a fire ass episode. So
suit, you know, like business in the front, party in the back. No, okay, whatever.
I love it. So, of course, like I said earlier, we are here to mainly talk about the first presidential debate. I don't really know if we can actually call it a debate.
I was literally just about to say, we use presidential very, very, very loosely because I don't know what.
And debate. Both.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can just get right into it. I mean, what was your biggest takeaway from the debate? It can be like a single moment, a conversation, or just overall how y'all felt about it.
Biggest takeaway was that was probably the biggest waste of time for every viewer. Like, and not even like all jokes aside, I think that was truly a waste of time. Like, you know, I really all the debates be messy, but that one I could literally walk away and say, I don't even know. I learned nothing new. Like I learned nothing. I gained nothing from this besides pure entertainment.
Yeah, it was no substance, but it was entertaining. Like it was entertaining. I thought it was interesting how Trump literally used like the language, like the coded language that they use to kind of like trigger his base or inadvertently, you know, like just say reckless things because this law and order. You know, they came up with the term. I don't know the president. Maybe it was Ronald Reagan. Maybe
I think it was Reagan, or I think it was Nixon. But yeah,
one of them came up with the term, and they literally ran on that whole agenda as like being hard on crime and in which Biden existed in that time period and Kamala existed in that time period where they were very heavily policing minority communities up until now. That's why the system is what it is, because they put said things in place. So it was interesting to see like he kept like questioning Biden, like literally directly asking him that. And I'll say I observed two things from that. One, Trump is like literally racist, and then he tried to like call somebody else xenophobic and right. I was like, what?
When he even said xenophobia, I was like, I'm surprised you even know what.
You know how to pronounce the word?
Yeah, I'm like shocked that. But another, obviously everybody was kind of latching on to like him not condemning white supremacy. I feel like,
and that's what I was about to say. Like,
but I mean, like,
he knew that.
He knew that. Like,
yeah, but like the fact that this person got on cable TV and says trigger words like "I'm the champion of the black community" or some crap like that, and then tried to question Biden on his record, in which that's what I was gonna say. I gained two like things from that. Like Biden, he didn't directly answer the law and order, like directly saying I would do that, and I think, you know how me and Mackenzie for real have kind of like been like, he needs to prove himself, you know, whatever. I think that kind of shows like not a little bit, but it shows growth in his like rationale and like being aware of the times and all of that. I think because saying that verbatim language it alludes to other things, and we know this. But Biden clearly knows what his bait, in my understanding now of observing that. He like
And
he
go
go ahead.
ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, so do you think that Biden did prove himself? Because I don't think he
Well,
did.
no, that's what I'm saying. I think he did well. Like, I think Biden did well in the sense of he kept his composure. He didn't equate to like Trump's, underlining comments and like the messiness of it. He carried presidential, you know what I'm saying? He was presidential, whatever. Yeah. And then he talked about policy very much. And I appreciated that. Like, everything, most of what he was talking about, until he did get like triggered after the Sun issue, and then maybe somewhere else he got like triggered up. But like most of it, I feel like he was like trying to stick to policy and like how he has a plan or whatever.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I feel like he did well, considering. Like, I don't think he's not like a great debater. I think we've talked about this already.
Right. That's right.
And I think it's easier to look better compared to Trump.
And that too. That's what that was like, I guess for me, my whole observation with it, because for him, that was his job. That's his job throughout this whole thing, is to appear better,
the steady hand.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Seem presidential, seem like you have a plan, you know what's going on, and when you get in office, you're gonna, you know what I'm saying, take action, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to say I was impressed or anything, but he
did fine.
Yeah, it reminded me of why, like, I'm like, am I okay with all his politics? No. But it was like, okay, like, Biden, like, it is, Go Joe, like, they like to say, you're a little old, racist, like, come on.
the funny thing is that I think, and I felt this about Hillary Clinton, where I think both of them.
Why are you disgusted?
No, I think Biden would at least I think he would be a better president than he is at running for president. I think
that's fair.
I think
it takes
levels to it.
Yeah, it's two different types of personalities. Like, being able to campaign and sell yourself is different from actually doing the job.
Right.
Like, people be better at interviewing than they are in the job. But I will say, at one point that I felt like, I really thought that like last night was truly a hot mess. But I feel like the one point that really I felt like brought down the level of like class of the entire debate was just like when Trump brought up Biden's son.
I was gonna mention that was my big takeaway.
Truly sick to my stomach.
Bro,
like,
that man is like a ego man. Like, why why would you do that? I was
like,
so
and then on top of the fact of it's actually crazy because Trump's base is definitely addicted to opioids, and there's a whole like drug and addiction. It was just so like, that was like, I was like,
he doesn't care. If you were in his way, he is going to go after you in every single possible, and that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like, it made me want to throw up, especially like, but I will say, y'all was saying that Biden did well. I feel like that was the first time, of course, you hit a chord because you bring up his son, but I feel like that was the first time I saw Biden.
That was his like best moment.
Like,
even with that happening, he was able to keep a certain composure.
Yeah.
We could tell a nerve was struck. Like, but I think, for me at least, he was from what I've been seeing of what the president has been for the last 4 years at this point,
basically.
And then like, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, to me, I thought watching it live, like, I thought it was about to go to like a really dark place, because I think
that's why they changed the format, because of him. Nasty.
And I think it goes even deeper than that, because I think the question was about military service, and Biden's son Bo passed, a veteran, and then Biden brought in his other son. It's like, who was also tied to like the whole, who he tried to say was involved in the whole Ukraine thing. So he's bringing up stuff, and I think Biden has had a lot of personal tragedy. Like, his first wife and child died in a car accident. His middle son died, from cancer. So I think like him just bringing that up, and we can talk about the moderation in a minute, but I think that to me was like,
we gotta talk about that next.
I mean, yeah.
A
So, I mean,
lack thereof.
yeah, I mean, I think it's like, how does anyone do good in that scenario? And I think
He
Biden
he
came
did
out
it.
without a hit, and he's up in the polls. So I think that's the best thing is like, can you just
That's
get
all he
out
gotta do.
unscathed?
And
He
he
did good
did.
because he definitely could have taken it there because Trump, we know your kids are questionable. Like, actually, we
No one would have
we
blamed
don't
him.
even need to go there. Like, just don't. Why are you bringing up kids? Like, that's just so. It was
That's
just
like
so
that's the one
Be
rule.
professional. Have some couth about
yeah.
yourself.
Like that just that just
It was,
made me sick.
and then speaking of like how we transition is like how he did that like under the belt thing,
Yeah.
and then how literally he was yelling at the moderator, like literally yelling at this man, talking over everybody. I'm like, I could see his tactic is to control the conversation because I'm gonna admit I do that sometimes. To where like I overtalk people and I degrade their points to make them question themselves.
Just rewatch, roll all the episodes, like all old episodes, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about. But no, the difference between you and this guy is that you don't have a coach that's training you on how to do these debates. Like you're not going out there.
I also think it's naive to think that Trump actually has a coach. He's not doing that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's definitely not coached. I'll say the difference between me and him is one, I like if I'm existing in a space as such, I know how to control myself.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I'm saying? If it's an interpersonal conversation or sometimes I get a little passionate on the podcast, whatever, like I do that because whatever. That's an conversation, that. But the point is, he like does that like in this setting with no remorse.
Yeah.
And for me, that's disgusting because again, when I do get irritated, I take control. So like for him to like blatantly kind of do this and like just kind of like just one belittle the man, point over, talk to the moderator, condemn everything they're doing as if it's stupid, millions of, like he never says anything of substance. He just said, okay, ask me a question, Noah.
How are you, Henry?
The weather's awesome, guys. Like that's what he does, and it's like what? Yeah.
Right.
Like I was so annoyed listening to him. It's just like why is he the president, bro? Like why nobody ain't? What?
I mean, I think the most interesting thing is that I think that and I think people try to get too into the weeds with it. They're trying to be like, oh, well, he has this strategy. And it's like, I think the strategy is like to just muddle everything to where everyone looks bad. So he doesn't look as bad, but Biden also gets
that
bad.
ain't even it to me. Because he do that too. But I think more so like, one, he's very full of himself. Like, very full of himself. And I think like his plan in his head or strategy or whatever, it's to, like I just said, like he say trigger words or buzzword that can catch people's attention. If we analyze who his actual base is, beyond like people who are Republicans for money.
And you mean actual like redneck people?
His actual
yeah,
I mean, I'm saying if we analyze who his base is, they ain't critical up there.
No.
They listen to trigger words and they get, oh yeah, yeah, we got jobs. And, they're just angry and frustrated. And it's like, because if we see, like, and that's what I'm like, I guess trying to figure out, because I want to ask this, Noah, because we knew in 2016, he didn't win the popular vote.
That is correct.
Because, like, somebody tweeted the account kind of, whatever, like, and that come out attention. He didn't win a popular vote. So it's not like the people wanted him in office for real. It is this political system, the Electoral College, correct?
Yes.
Is why he's in office. So
yeah, like, and that's, if he wins, that's going to be the reason he'll get in again. He's going to lose like, the popular vote by more this time.
Right. So like I want clarity now because I understand. I just want to make sure I understand. So like,
yes, sir.
How can us as regular citizens or whatever do, like, contribute to that system?
I
Or
mean,
affect that or influence that system?
move. I mean, it's like, I think that's the real bad part about our democracy is that if us three were to sit in a room and say, hey, the amount of people, it's not about just who has more people, it's about who has more people in certain places. It then gives more weight to people who are in places that are not historically diverse, which are rural. So you can basically say, I'm
those
going to get
battleground states.
right. Because basically
What are those? What are the big states?
Where
I
do
don't
they
know.
have the go ahead, Noah, you probably know.
it's Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, Wisconsin. So I mean, Mackenzie and for me and Mackenzie, our votes for president don't matter. Like we're really not swinging the needle. But if
Right,
you
and that's why
decided
I'm
not
not
to,
voting. That's why I
right.
stayed as a Georgia resident, because I knew that you know what I'm saying, the red and the blues and all of that.
But the fact that our system then has that certain votes have more weight doesn't make sense. Like you would never craft that and
that's
say
kind of
that
like
today.
invalidating the popular vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically saying that, and even in the opposite scenario, like Republicans would be pissed if all of a sudden there's a scenario in which if Democrats could only win California, New York, Texas, Florida, maybe Illinois, and 2 other states, and they could theoretically win. Should someone who wins 8 states be able to win the presidency? Probably not. But
admit to that though.
what do you say?
Trump has admitted to that with the mail-in ballots and making Puerto Rico and DC states. They're like, if we do this, the Republicans will never, control the Senate or the House or whatever again.
Which is why they don't want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is dumb, and I think this is actually a good segue to talk about the moderation of the debate, especially to get Mackenzie focused on it, because I feel like I've been going back and forth where I feel like even the best moderator in the world can only barely control that environment, because it's like, what do you do when someone wants to debate and someone wants to have a fist fight? It's 2 styles. But I also feel like the questions that Chris Wallace fed Trump were very biased.
Open. Yeah.
Like one of the questions he asked one of the segments was race and violence in cities. That's a conservative framing of the question.
Yeah.
You're already framing it in it's race and there's all these looters and violence. And I think also the question that he fed, to me, his worst part was when he talked about the voters, like the mail-in ballots. You're feeding him a question that you know he's going to take the bait on. So why ask in the first place when you know he's just going to say misinformation? But I mean, how did y'all feel about the moderation? Because I felt it was really bad. Like when Trump
was really bad.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, first of all, just the first question was so open. It was just so like he had no specific, like, you said this on this day, this was published at very pointed where you can't just kind of wiggle out of the answering the question specifically. They're politicians, so they probably could have been able to wiggle out of it, but the questions were so all over the place. You just really gave them a free for all to do anything,
create their own answer.
To create their own answer. Because with the first one, I remember, and then when he said it was an open discussion, it's like no, we're not. No, absolutely not. I felt like there was no moderation, and it's so crazy. Shout out to Don Lemon's whole switcheroo, but I remember, I think it was last election season or whatever, and he was moderated, and he was there's a system, very pointed. Here's your question, you got 2 minutes. It's a system to it. I mean, I don't know what Chris was doing.
I mean, the campaigns have to agree to all this, where it's like 2 minutes, go back and forth. I'll interject in certain places. It's a structure, and I think that, and then Henry getting here, but I think he was just really bad on just his timing. Like Biden would say, "Oh, I'm not gonna disavow white supremacists," and he was like, "Okay, climate change," and you're like, "That's not the moment that you skip."
That's what I was waiting for y'all to say y'all piece, because, for me, he did what he was doing that benefited Trump, I think, because let's say if we had a just CNN person, imagine Don Lemon doing that. we would have gained some substance because Don Lemon would have been a moderator. He would
have had control.
exactly.
He had no
That's
control
exactly what I was about to say. He would have controlled that. When Trump would have been doing all of that, we're not doing this here.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I don't think anyone can get control of a debate like that. But I think it's a matter of just how much can it fly off the rails.
I mean, like, yes, they're presidential candidates, so we've seen they're gonna do what they want. We know that. But I'm saying, like, he would have, I'll still say control, bro. Like, he would have gained control of the conversation.
And he had the nerve to ask to move on. That was something that really stood out to me. He was like, guys, can we move on? And I'm like,
Trump was the moderator.
Literally.
The other bro was just posing the questions, because that's what I'm saying. He posed open-ended questions, and then when he posed the questions, Trump would just take over and lead the conversation. And then, like y'all saying, there was no structure, in my opinion, to it. He would just jump from one topic to the next topic to the next topic. There were no follow-ups. There was no clarity. It was like,
yeah.
And going back to your point, Noah, when you said to how far it could go off the rails, I think then it got to a point where he felt so comfortable to bring up his son. I feel like if it maybe would have been a little bit more control, it wouldn't have even got to that point.
Right.
Yeah.
He felt like he had free range to be like, he said, because he kept saying it when Biden, I don't know what the question was, but it was like, well, we have done this. I'm still the president. Oh, the Supreme Court question, where he was like, because Biden was basically saying, if I like, I don't remember everything.
Well, go ahead. I don't know what
he was just Biden was kind of like, I think the next candidate should win, and if he wins, then he has the right to do it. But at this time, and with the climate, et cetera, it's not the right time to pick a Supreme Court justice. And he even like kind of named some names to kind of like, validate that statement. And then Trump was like, well, I am the president. We are the president, or whatever, we won, or what. He kept like kind of reiterating like, I'm the president and I'm not going anywhere.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that
was nuts.
Yeah, that was nuts. And that's not his first time saying some stuff along the lines like,
in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, peaceful transition. I'm so concerned, y'all. I'm so concerned. That's what I was about to
say. When Biden and Kamala win in 2021, because they are,
got my ballot.
I'm still waiting, Georgia. I know y'all suppress votes, Kemp. I will sue you if y'all receive my ballot. But anyway, beyond all that, for real, like, I'm gonna request another one tomorrow, okay? For real, because Kemp is trying to suppress everything he can to help this man. He did it to win the governor's seat. But beyond all that, better this conversation.
The South has always been questionable.
When Kamala and Biden win the House, do y'all think Trump is just gonna walk out?
I debate. I don't know. I don't know,
because a part of me is kind of like, what he gonna do? Like,
he's all bark and no bite. I mean, I genuinely believe that like, he talks a good game, but like, when it really comes down to it, Trump is like, he's soft. Like, he can't literally look. He doesn't like confrontation, so he talks his big bark, and no one ever confronts him on it. But when someone does challenge him, he just doesn't know what to do. So I think like
nail on the head for me, because I think. And that's what I think, like, why are people intimidated by this man?
I think it's more so what he does behind closed doors. I don't think he jumping people, but I think his influence.
Yeah, the power of the White House.
I think
power of the White House.
I think he knows stuff about, like, he's existed in this wealthy elite 1% since forever.
Henry, as someone who like works in politics, I wouldn't even take it that far. Politicians are risk averse. And they are going to jump on the first thing that they feel like can help them survive the immediate moment. And Trump came and he helped them survive, and he won. And they said, this guy is more popular and has more influence than us. People already don't like us, but if he dislikes us, then more people are going to dislike us. It's basically like, who's the bigger fish? And Trump is just pulling their card. He knows that they're not going to back down from him. So he's basically saying, how far, he's like a kid. How far can I push you until you push back? And they haven't done it, and he's going to keep doing it. But so
he keeps. I mean, I feel like that's just with anybody. Like if you let them keep getting away with something, why would I stop?
Yeah, he's basically begging people to pull my card, and no one's done it. But
like, try me.
Yeah, and I think to get to I think to get to Mackenzie's point about the whole election, I think it's the scary scenario is that we have a Supreme Court vacancy, and the court could be 4-4, and in 2000, Bush v. Gore was decided by the Supreme Court. And the hidden thing is that we're not going to know who wins this election until at least mid-November, because it takes weeks to count mail-in ballots.
This is just making me so like.
So,
bro, I want to punch this is, bro. It's
I feel like it's falling apart. I really feel like America is crumbling.
America is about to blow.
I mean, that's the thing is that there is a scary scenario in that. Let's say, because this stuff is hard. I mean, counting ballots by mail is hard. And let's say, for instance, Wisconsin has a large number of mail-in ballots that take a while to get there, and there's ambiguity over that. Normal stuff that would happen, but Trump is going to be the one who's going to take that and then go to the furthest extreme. It's just a matter of he won't be able to do that if Biden wins by a certain amount. If the election is hinging on something, he can then say, I'm going to throw everything at this. But if he wins by 9 percentage points and by 40 Electoral College votes, everybody is then just going to be like, it doesn't matter. Well, but if it's close, that's the oh shit scenario.
That's why I said what I said earlier about the Electoral College and all that stuff. It's like last time he won per the Electoral College. So like, especially with mail-in ballots and all of this, like it's so many ways that can finesse this.
Yeah. And I think the untold thing, and I wish he would have said this. Trump is only doing all this stuff is because he's losing. If he was up, he would be encouraging everyone to go vote by mail and do this and do that. But because he's losing, and he knows he is, and he knows if the election happened tomorrow, he would lose. Mm-hmm. He's just trying to stir shit, hoping that it's in doubt.
Which and I think was his whole character on stage. Like his whole character was just like, I'm losing, so I'm not going to let you even say anything because I'm going to say my point because I'm literally losing. And I have, at this point, after presidency and then the tax stuff, like I think he does have a lot on the line. Like, if he really does.
Millions of dollars.
And that was false.
And okay, can I ask this too? Mm-hmm. Before, you know what I'm saying, we end the episode.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be prosecuted when he loses election?
No.
That's a problem for me.
It's just
problem for pretty much most logical people.
I would love it, but government just don't work. Our government.
If there was a black man, if Obama didn't pay no taxes, released no records, obstructed justice, and did everything else in the book that he did in the presidency, one, bro would have got impeached. But two, it would have been charges coming after this, at the minimum.
Hashtag white privilege.
I mean, yeah, and I think naturally our system of government just doesn't work that way. Yeah. Like Trump talked all that shit about we're going to prosecute Hillary. Once it's over, everyone's just like, what's the point? Yeah. What is literally the point? I think
he deserved to be in jail.
Should he go to jail? Like, yes.
I don't believe
a lot of politicians probably should go to jail.
But he deserved to be in jail.
Here's the thing. Politicians rarely go to jail. And if they do, it's a quiet 2 months.
That's the problem.
In a nice facility.
Right, yeah.
Y'all y'all don't watch The Good Wife. Never mind. But he went to jail as his politician. It was a nice jail. Like, it was really nice.
Chill. So, I mean, I think that's something that I think people need to at least be aware of is that, like, if we're not going to know on November 3rd who wins the election. And I think that the scenario is out there. I don't think it's going to happen because I think Trump just is all bark but no bite. But if it's close enough, that's when it's like, oh shit.
And I think it really will be very close.
I kind of don't think so.
You don't think so?
As of now, Trump, the election's in like 30 days. Trump is way behind.
We'll see. I think it'll be very.
But I have hope. That's my problem. I'm an optimist.
I think. I mean, yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm
gonna be close, bro.
You think it will?
No.
I don't think. I mean, like.
Trump has an advantage by the Electoral College, but like I think because
that's more so what I'm concerned about.
I'm not concerned about. I mean, I think
popular vote is not gonna be close, but the Electoral College, I don't understand. Like, can we sue or because
you love trying to sue.
I'm gonna sue anybody. Let me get. I can sue you, bro. I can build a case. It's a money theory, to be honest. Let's be clear.
You can't get money for the Electoral College.
I'm saying like winning a case. That's more so what I'm talking about.
So if Henry slips and falls out front of your business front, just know that
you're gonna get sued. You're gonna get sued. But anyway, my point is, how can we hold him accountable if the Electoral College is like they let him win, and then the popular vote is like it's more massive than it was in 2016?
I mean, the funny thing is, and I like generally believe that if Biden wins by more votes than Hillary, and Trump somehow wins the Electoral College, either because of the courts or just the system, I think like DC will be up in flames. Like I generally believe that. Like people are going to be pissed, and I think
that's what I'm saying. How do we hold them accountable? What is the political whatever way? Because the
funny thing is that's probably the way.
Us people with these legal minds, we're gonna come up with some theory. So we're gonna throw some crap at the wall and make it stick. Okay.
I mean, the funny thing is, I don't even think it would be that. I think people would be so pissed that they would just basically say, fuck this. And I think it's kind of like in Minneapolis, people basically had to burn the city for people to react. And I think that sometimes you need to push the envelope and let people know.
He's going to be president, so that just means deploying the National Guard and creating a civil war.
Then that's what it has to be.
I mean, that's the thing. I think like if that generally
not even not even to be like, well, I mean, whatever, that radical, but it would have to be a full revolution to rechange our entire system.
And I think
that's what I'm saying. There's no systematic way.
I mean, like Henry, it's kind of like saying like you can change the system of policing. Well, it's like you can make these little teeny dots, but like the problem is the system.
Electoral College and Biden wins the popular vote by a super mass amount. How is that going to be checked?
I literally think
there's no way for that to be checked like on the book.
The legislators would not do that naturally. I think everybody would literally have to be like, hey, DC is going to burn. Albany is going to burn. This is bullshit. And then you have to, I think literally it's like you have to basically push people to that place. Yeah. And I think people would be that pissed that they would get, at least where it would be a real conversation. Because unless they're just going to be like, oh, it's the system, where I think people have to openly be like, no, fuck it. Like, I don't care anymore.
Because it's not, it's not altering the system. We need to redo it and start. Like, because it doesn't make sense. This conversation is still going to be valid 20 years from now. And the next person is somebody wins. And it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent, if Trump wins, I think a lot of like shit is going to happen after that. But I think it's like, at a certain point for us as Black people, for, especially like Mackenzie as a Black woman, like we have to acknowledge that the system is just not working for us. Yeah. And at a certain point, you can't play the game within the system if it's still not working for you. Yeah. So you either have to try to destroy it or just say, we're going to do something else. And I think that if Trump wins, I think a lot of people are literally just like, I think a lot of shit would happen if Trump wins on some bullshit.
And that would be the icing on the cake for 2020 at that point.
Bingo.
A full burn down of the entire country at this point.
We about to all get COVID.
What is wrong with you?
How would you even say that?
Pause. This is joking. I'm joking. Pause.
You sound like Trump.
Father God, I rebuke this. I ask that you bless our viewers and everybody on this podcast that we are protected.
We about to end now because you didn't put a hex on Mackenzie.
No. I was jokingly saying if y'all assessing it like that, then if that's gonna be the end of 2020, whatever. This shit we all gonna get that's you know what I'm saying. That's everybody gonna blow up outside because we in flames and this and that. The COVID rate gonna inevitably go up. Jobs go like America gonna blow up. Everything is gonna be effed up. That's what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to put no heads on nobody.
That's all right. Okay, we have like 3 minutes left, but I just want a quick yes or no answer from both of you because I feel like this is interesting. Should Biden want to do another debate? Just a yes or no.
Yeah. Wait. What's your thought process? Why? Because he just was so mad.
It's such a shit show. I mean, I think, and it doesn't benefit Biden. I think he's going to, but I think it's interesting. Like if that's how this is going to be.
Debate?
No, you're right. That's a good valid question. What'd you say, Henry?
I think he benefited for me on my sense.
I just think it doesn't benefit him. If Trump is just going to throw shit all day, he's going to get some effect on that.
I think he still should do it.
He should, but I think it's at least a question that his people should at least consider. Like, we can walk away from this and be okay. If that's how it's going to be, fuck it. I'm not doing it.
I let you bring up my dead son one time.
But if you do it one more time,
one more time. Okay.
Mackenzie, you was right.
Because that would be my only, like, no.
I think that's the thing.
Kamala drag that's about to come. She's about to drag.
You can't bring up my kid again.
Yeah, that's the fight. So that was episode number 59. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WRGOPod. Be sure to also subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Podcasts. Be sure to get on the lookout for merch. I think that's 2 times I've got that right.
Merch coming soon. October 5th. Tune in. The link gonna be live on the goddamn social medias.
That's it. Peace.